Come on, grab your friends, cause season 2 of Fiona and Cake is finally here. Now that Fiona's homeworld is canon, we've got a ton of new adventures to look forward to. Especially because it seems like Huntress Wizard is taking a lead role alongside our two main protagonists. There are lots of cool cameos in this first episode that you might have missed, and I've got a lot of thoughts about where our heroes may be emotionally headed this season. You're watching WhitneyVision, and this is our breakdown of the Hare and the Sprout. This is your spoiler warning! If you haven't seen Season 2, Episode 1 of Fiona and Cake yet, hit pause on this video and come back once you've picked up a package of special cocoa powder. Before we dive into the episode, we gotta talk about the show's new intro. It was created by Small Boo Animation with help from Emmy Sisioriga, the team that animated the Winter Wonderland song sequence in The Winter King. The intro confirms that Huntress Wizard is joining Fiona as a main protagonist this season in the same way that Season 1 explored Simon. I can't wait to see more of Huntress Wizard. Ashley Birch has taken over the voice acting role from Jenny Slate, and although I'll definitely miss Jenny, I'm a huge fan of Ashley's work, and I already think she's kicking ass as Huntress. Also, this intro has big anime vibes, especially the sequence we see of Huntress naked and curled up in a giant flower. That's a reference to the intro of Revolutionary Girl Utena. The Hare and the Sprout, named for Fiona's bunny ears and Huntress's connection to the forest, kicks off with a recap of last season by Astrid. If you recall, Astrid was the ultimate Fiona and Cake fangirl from last season, and it looks like she's finally starting to pen these stories herself instead of begging Simon to continue the story for her. Her drawings show images of Fiona and Cake learning that they were created as fanfic of Finn and Jake by Prismo, in Farm World featuring grown-up Farm World Finn, in Baby World with Baby Finn, in Vampire World with Martin Mertens, Fiona smooching the Ice King to death from the Winter King, PB fighting Marcy in the Star, and Fiona kicking the Scarab's ass out of her homeworld. She reminds the gang and the audience that Fiona and Finn are two distinctly different people now that their universe is canonized. Astrid, Simon, Marcy, and PB are kicking it at Marceline's cabin, where Simon is now the permanent third wheel of Ooh's most adorable lesbian couple. Back in Fiona's world, the day starts off almost exactly like it did in Season 1's Fiona Campbell. But this time, Fee seems a lot happier to wake up in her messy apartment. And Fee is no longer just a copy of the male inspiration for her creation. She's no longer trapped in a boring job that she hates, her cat can talk, and has her own apartment, and I'm sure it helps her self-esteem to hear everyone in town constantly thanking her for saving them. Fiona wakes up to her BMO alarm clock playing the sounds of the local station, the original GROF, hosted by DJ Slime. Despite the fact that Gull Betty disappeared into the vast multiverse, Betty's name and likeness still appear in little ways all over town, like her last name being used at the radio station, or the stone Gull Betty water fountain in the park. DJ Slime is obviously Fiona World's counterpart to Slime Princess in Ooh, and it's super interesting to me that multiple elemental princesses become DJs in the real world. DJ Slime is voiced by Will Pendarvis, a real radio DJ who currently hosts the show 99X. DJ Flame is clearly Flame Prince or Flame Princess from the original series. Last season, it was established that DJ Flame was Fiona's big ex, and their fallout is reminiscent of Finn's fallout with FP. When Fiona turns on her TV, peep the three snails. Those guys are the Normie World versions of the snail that used to appear in every episode of Adventure Time. Last season, her TV was metaphorically stuck on one station, as it could only play Cheers. But now that she's ventured through the multiverse and saved her city, she's no longer trapped in the same loop. Sort of. I've got more to say about this at the end of the breakdown. As she flips through the channels, we catch glimpses of the animated versions of Cheers, Friends, Gilmore Girls, and Sister Sister. Fee settles on watching an action show with a sword-wielding protagonist named Celine. While I don't believe that Celine is a one-to-one adaptation of a cartoon, I do find it interesting that the protagonist's name is Selene, a name that evolved from Selene, a Greek goddess of the moon. Fiona's character is heavily inspired by Sailor Moon, and her moon imagery includes her bunny ears, which are indicative of the moon rabbit from Eastern folklore. Kate comes over for breakfast before they start the day, a classic sitcom trope that Fiona probably loves. She makes herself a waffle hot dog wrap, the Fiona and Cake version of Jake's Makin' Bacon Pancakes. The city is still being rebuilt after the Scarab's wreckage, but the townsfolk are starting to make progress. This leads me to believe that there's at least a small time gap between the ending of Season 1 and now. They've at least had enough time to clean up the streets and start repairs on some of the wrecked buildings, like the rooftop cinema. Folks have been getting help from the Scarab Damage Relief Fund, and signs all over town have been directing them where to ask for disaster assistance. Some local businesses, like the pizza shop, are even offering free food to anyone who volunteers to help them rebuild. On the street, we see several familiar-looking characters. There's the Fushigi Ball guy from Season 1, whose ooh counterpart was a leaf goblin. We see the back of this world's version of Abracadanielle and Abracadaniel. And the bald woman is Fiona World's Ron James. The strong man is Muscle Princess. And the girl in the zigzag sweater might be Charlie the Duck, who was named after his Charlie Brown shirt. This person with a birthmark over their eye looks a lot like Tromo. And the kid they're holding hands with is Embryo Princess from Ooh. Peep the pink backpack and the scar on their face. In the background, the lemon carbs are walking their dog. A nod to Lemon Grab and his camel. We also see the yellow shirt banana guard guys and the two roller derby girls who were fairies in Ooh. At the hardware store, Fiona talks to her old boss Flan. Flan is a reference to Buck Pudding, the hardware store owner back in Ooh. On the shelves behind them, you can see a couple of bags labeled Perry Sand. That's dark as fuck, dude. Perry the Living Island of Insight was one of the cosmic entities killed by the Scarab in the Season 1 showdown. These sandbags are definitely filled with his remains. It actually seems like the citizens of Fiona World are very grateful for Perry's sacrifice, because there's a retrospective film honoring him playing at the theater, and it's getting great reviews too. R.I.P. Perry, may you find the nearest inland sea in heaven. Turbo Allen is the swap of the librarian Turtle Princess, aka Turtle Prince from the original Fiona and Cake in Adventure Time. Turbo Allen runs the print shop called Panic Print. Yeah man, anytime I need to print something, I also panic when I remember that I don't have a printer and have to go to the print shop. There's a no pup sign on the door, banning Fiona World's equivalent of the pup gang from entering. Fiona and Cake pass by the D's Cheese Shop, which has ratings hung in the windows from Steve and Jen, a nod to supervising director Steve Wolfhard and background design artist Jenny Yu. The shop's awning features a single slice of pizza, which reminded me of Breaking Bad, even though I know that Walt throws the whole pie onto the roof. At the request of a little girl, Cake shapeshifts into an elephant that looks a lot like tree trunks and adds a horse riding the elephant's back that looks like James Baxter. But just around the corner, she and Fiona are faced with Queenie and her stupid bus tour. Obviously, Queenie is the king of Ooh's variant in this world, and riding her bus are Dr. Prince, a guy in a yellow hat like Magic Man's, a Fiona superfan in a bunny hat just like Astrid's, and a guy with a yellow face that looks a lot like Roy from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Before she leaves, Fiona calls Queenie a jumped-up Abadir wannabe, referencing Hannah Abadir, Marshall's extremely wealthy landowning mother. I love that when Queenie leans over to glare at her, she's doing the exact same pose as she is on the back of the bus. Fiona and Cake head over to the sweet shop to pick up some of the special cocoa powder Gary used for his pastry mention cookies last season. I love that the C in candy supply is a horseshoe, a little nod to Lady Rainicorn and Lord Monochromacorn. The gumball machine next to Mcron's counter looks just like one of Princess Bubblegum's Gumball Guardians, and there's even a little candy unicorn just like Lady. But while Cake and Mcron are flirting, a blue-haired woman named Lady Cutter swoops in and steals the last bag of cocoa out of Fiona's hands. This character is a reference to Sir Slicer from Adventure Time Season 2 episode Blood Under the Skin, Knight, who follows Finn around catching him doing embarrassing things. Luckily, their impromptu fight doesn't stop Mcron from giving Cake his number. Fun fact, Mcron's phone number, 555-0179, is also Dean Winchester's phone number in Supernatural. The receipt tells us that the sweet shop is located on Waffle Dog Avenue, another nod to Fiona and Cake's breakfast and Jake's bacon pancakes. This episode also apparently takes place on October 1st, 2024. We see a few more cameos outside. Once again, we have variants on Abracadaniel, Starchy, and the Banana Guards, but there's also the human Wildberry Princess and one of the Hot Dog Knights. Simon calls Fiona while he goes for a walk in Ooh, where we see a BMO calculator hidden underneath a box trap in the forest. He tells her that, although it's been nice living with PB and Marcy, Princess Bubblegum still feels weird around him because of all the times he tried to kidnap her. And that's fair. I probably wouldn't be chill with a dude who spent decades inappropriately flirting with every princess that crossed his path moving into my sapphic domicile either. As he and Fiona catch up, she and Cake pass Rob's barbershop, a nod to supervising animation director Robert Alvarez. There's also a Gmo plant vending machine modeled after BMO, and it has a Compost Festival poster plastered on its side. The little shredder rolling past the Gmo machine is likely BMO. Note how they look very similar to how Finn perceived them after he was given wizard eyes on Dead Mountain in Season 8's Don't Look. As Simon updates Fiona on his life back in Oo, she passes by a clam truck in the real world. This is a callback to the clambulance that Simon and Marcy ran into all the way back in post-apocalyptic Oo during Season 3's Simon and Marcy. Walking past DJ Flame's giant poster, you can see a variant of Lemon Hope strolling by, along with a woman walking a dog that looks a lot like Hot Dog Princess. As Fiona crosses the street, she's sharing the road with Oo's Flame Jester counterpart. Check out the girl in the blue coat with an eye patch and a pine tree necklace. She's Fiona World's version of the Ice Clops. She's talking to a dude with spiky hair and a dog in his backpack, a nod to the snow golem's spiky-haired ice form and his firewolf pup. Behind Fiona as she's climbing the stairs, you can catch a glimpse of Bee Princess and that Hot Dog Night variant. The pizza party poster on the wall at the top of the stairs features a slice of za that reminds me a lot of Pizza Steve from Uncle Grandpa, even though their glasses aren't 100% identical. When Fiona chastises Cake for plastering the Sweet Spots flyers all over DJ Flame's stupid face, the two characters in the background look a lot like the normcore takes on the Fool and the Vampire King from Oo. Back in Oo, Simon places an orange on top of Choose Goose's grave, confirming that he died after Simon barbecued him last season. His tombstone reads, R.I.P. Choose Goose, he shan't reproduce, a rhyming reference to Beavis and Butthead's classic grave text, Here lies Beavis, he never scored. Moments later, a white blonde lion appears, stealing the orange and slinking off into the forest. This could be the animal form of the Vampire King. If you recall, back in the Stakes miniseries, the Vampire King's vampire essence was extracted during the events of Checkmate, and he was split into two entities, a mortal mundane lion and a dark cloud sheep monster that Marceline slurped up like a demonic milkshake. Oranges, like the fruit, as well as orange the color, are attached to many different symbols in different cultures, religions, folk stories, and mythologies. But the symbolic thread that they all have in common is that oranges often symbolize good luck, prosperity, and spiritual transformation. Artistic and creative depictions of oranges lean more towards the side of change and fortune, while the religious and mythological portrayals are that of the quest for spiritual knowledge. Huntress follows the lion to a cave, shape-shifting and becoming a part of the forest to silently track him. Inside, Finn is alone in a semi-conscious state where he's seemingly been since the end of episode 2 last season. It turns out that after his fight with the green bear at the heart of the forest, Finn was poisoned by a mysterious bush before he could meet back up with Huntress Wizard. Which leads me to one of my biggest questions from the Hare and the Sprout. Just how long has Finn been dying in this cave? Both PB and Marceline say that they haven't seen him around in a while, so it's not like he's only been missing for a few days. I'm not entirely sure exactly how long the first season of this show lasted, though. Were Fiona, Cake, and Simon wandering the multiverse for days, weeks, months? I personally think that he's been missing for several weeks at least, maybe even a month. Although it's difficult to pinpoint the exact amount of time that's passed between Simon and Finn's forest expedition to October 1st, 2024, the date on the candy store's receipt, there are some small clues that point to the fact that it's been quite a while. For starters, like I said earlier, Fiona's world has already started rebuilding, and although the city's reconstruction is nowhere near complete, it certainly doesn't look like the disaster zone it was at the end of the Scarab's tantrum. They've already got disaster relief funds set up, but they're still looking for free volunteers to help put the community back together, which could take some time. Also, I'm not sure how fast the hiring process is at a school like Wizard Arts, but Finn has definitely been gone long enough for Simon to move out of his weird human exhibit home, move in with Marceline, and land a new job as a professor in Wizard City. I know it's a cartoon and the hiring process could have happened in seconds, but the point I'm trying to make is that the characters in this show have gone through a pretty significant amount of changes and growth since the end of last season. And that's why I think that Finn has been living off pre-chewed orange juice for at least a few weeks. When the real Huntress Wizard strikes one of Finn's hallucinations in the shoulder, it's revealed that he's surrounded in the cave by a lion, a cow, and an eagle. We know that the crew of vamps that Marcy fights off are based on different tarot cards, and the VK is no exception. The Vampire King represents the Wheel of Fortune tarot card, which presents 4 winged creatures on the corners of the card: a lion, an ox, a human, and an eagle. The most common interpretation of this card within a reading is to introduce an element of change in the recipient's life. If we pair the Wheel of Fortune with the orange's symbolism of spiritual transformation, I don't think it's a coincidence that this is the specific fruit served to Finn while he's dying. Our boy is definitely undergoing some kind of forest-linked spiritual awakening in his unconscious state. And while we know that Finn has survived several of these personal transformations throughout the series and that he'll definitely survive this one long enough to die in distant lands together again, I'm kinda like, hasn't my boy been through enough? How many spiritual reckonings can one guy take? Back in Fiona world, we see graffiti that reads, "Maybe the Bugman was right." I kinda love this because it reminds me of all of the "maybe Thanos was right" memes we saw after Infinity War came out. There's two people passing by on the street, but I'm not 100% sure about their identities. My best guess is that it could be the Duke or Duchess of Nuts strolling with Jeekle. On the sidewalk outside of the sweet spot, that guy with a weird hat is a variant of Elbow Princess, and he's holding hands with a small child that looks like she has the same haircut as Tiny Taffy from Come Along With Me. Again, I'm not 100% sure about the Tiny Taffy cameo though. TT was technically Princess Bubblegum under the effects of Dum Dum Juice, so I'm not sure if Fiona World cooked up its own version of her, despite the fact that she was a main character temporarily under a spell. Prismo seems too detail-oriented to add 2 PB inserts into his fanfiction world. LSP is entertaining his battalion of squirrels, led by his favorite, Stanley. But now he's got a new member in the gang, Mark Maron's squirrel character from both Adventure Time and Season 1 of Fiona and Cake. When Marshall opens the door to his van to catch the guitar strings Fee bought for him, he hisses like a vampire experiencing sunlight. He's also changed his mom's phone contact to read Birthgiver, like a true millennial. I have a theory that the text he deleted from Hannah Abadir might have been a warning to Marshall and Gary that Queenie was on her way to blow up their new sweet spot. Behind Hunter, you'll spot this universe's versions of Dr. Gross, a guy who might be a grass person, and a person in a football jersey that I can't seem to place. Let me know your guesses in the comments below. When Hunter gifts Fiona a beautiful bush of Rosa rubiginosa, aka Sweetbriar roses, Fiona accidentally scrapes her hand on a thorn that embeds itself into her palm. This is a clear parallel to the grass blade that once grew out of Finn's hand. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fee lose an arm this season. Supposedly, these roses represent growth from hardship and capture the expression, "I wound to heal." I wonder if coming out stronger from an emotional healing process is going to be a big theme for our characters this season. In the meantime, Hunter delicately takes care of Fiona's cut, not unlike their female counterpart is doing for Finn back in OO. Huntress asks Finn if he was hurt by a medium-sized manticore, a reference to his smaller cousin, Tiny Manticore, back in the OG series. When her elixirs and spells aren't working, Huntress crash lands in Simon's class at Wizard Arts to ask for his help identifying what could have poisoned him. It turns out that Simon is teaching in Bufo's old classroom from the Wizard City episode of Distant Lands, and you can still see the faint outline of his last equation on the chalkboard behind Simon, along with that blue banner filled with symbols. But dude, I'm sorry, no one is gonna start calling you Prof. Cov. On Simon's desk, you'll find a copy of the Enchiridion, a Roman dodecahedron, and a set of blue crystal D&D dice. If you don't know what a Roman dodecahedron is, that's okay, no one does. A bunch of these were found by archaeologists all over ancient Rome, but they never wrote down what they were used for, leaving us with a centuries-old mystery. All of the kids in Simon's classroom are aged-up versions of the characters we saw back in Distant Lands. I'm not gonna go through every single one of these nameless students because that would take forever, but trust me, they are all present and accounted for in both episodes. Most notably, we see teen versions of Kadebra, Pepmint, and Blaine. Kadebra still has her pet bunny, but has added a flock of doves to her magic show repertoire. I love that Pepmint is dressed as the perfect combo of Marceline and Peebles. Goth vibes with a little pastel pink to highlight it. Simon tosses him a stuffed animal version of Bubblegum's giant cat Timmy as a present from his mommies back home in OO. Meanwhile, Fiona and Cake are experiencing a terrifying shared nightmare. We learned last season that they share dreams from the end credits of the show, and we also know that Jake and Jermaine were able to meet each other in their dreamland from time to time as well. In her nightmare, Fiona is the anime protagonist Celine from the show she watched earlier. She's missing an arm, and has replaced it with a metal prosthetic cannon, which she uses to fight off a horde of rogue knights, bolstering my theory that this is all foreshadowing Fiona losing her arm. After decapitating her enemies, their helmets fall off to reveal that they were actually all her friends. She sees Gary, Marshall, Hunter, Ellis, Emcron, Martin Mertens from The Star, and the weird plucked ice bird we saw in The Winter King. The bird never speaks, so it's unclear if he's the frozen version of Chusku's, the cosmic owl, or another feathered friend. As far as the meaning of her dream goes, I think it's pretty safe to say that Fiona is still facing immense guilt for the wreckage she caused last season. Although she saved her town from the scarab, she caused a lot of hurt and more than a few deaths along the way. A lot of her actions in OO were selfishly driven so that she could play out the magical fantasy life she always wanted to have. But in Fiona's defense, I can understand why she made the reckless choices she did. If you woke up in a magical world full of unlimited possibility, you might go a little nuts too. I think that's the reason why she ends up killing all of her friends and a couple acquaintances in the dream she has, because she's terrified of hurting her loved ones and worries that there might not be much she can do to save them in the next catastrophe. Most interesting to me, however, is the green-eyed wolf that appears in the background of her dream. Back in Season 7's flute spell, Huntress Wizard tells Finn to drink from a well that will cause him to have crazy dreams, and this same wolf appears to him just before he's greeted by the spirit of the forest. In both of these scenes, the wolf only appears for a few seconds on screen and doesn't have any dialogue, but it's clear that he's some sort of steward for the spirit of the forest, and the fact that he's appearing in Fiona's dreams tells me that she's more intrinsically tied to Finn's poisoning, forest spirits, and everything else going on with Huntress Wizard's healing quest in OO. Fiona and the gang are rudely awakened by Queenie and her goons, who show up to reveal that Queenie is the true owner of the vacant lot where the sweet spot is being set up. The way that she pulls back the vines to show off her ownership plate is just like the way Marceline revealed that she was the true owner of Finn and Jake's treehouse back in Season 1's Evicted. Peep the guy in the fake mustaches and glasses lurking off to the side. I think that this guy is supposed to represent the King of OO's mysterious advisor, who turned out to be the Orgalorg in disguise. In the same way that the Orgalorg helped the King of OO usurp Princess Bubblegum and seize control of the Candy Kingdom, Queenie is busting in with this weirdo to help her take Fiona and her friends down once and for all. The final shot of the episode ends abruptly, more like a classic Adventure Time episode than some of the more recent series. We see Huntress Wizard approach the bush at the heart of the forest, just before the green bear appears behind her and the screen cuts off to black. Based on what we saw in the trailer, however, I don't think that her life is necessarily in danger. One of the spirits of the forest has the same fancy glasses as the green bear, and I bet my boots that they're one and the same character. Whatever this wizard bear lady is hiding at the heart of the forest, there has to be a reason why it's so heavily protected and hidden. In the trailer, the bespectacled forest witch accuses Huntress Wizard of leaking their secrets. And I think it's because whatever force is lurking in the heart of the forest is too dangerous to reveal to the citizens of OO. In the credits of this episode, we see Fiona watering a plant. If I had to venture a guess, I think that this is hinting towards the larger themes of the season, learning how to tend to your own needs. You see, despite the fact that things seem to be a little less depressing in Fiona World, it's clear that our girl is still struggling to function. She's still unemployed, her room is a mess, and she hasn't even started fixing the giant hole in her apartment wall left by the scarab. Sure, her TV no longer plays just one show, and she's not fully depressed, but there are big signs that Fiona isn't properly taking care of herself. While her friends are starting new relationships and following their dreams, she's still stuck in the same unhealthy patterns that she was before. Fiona's biggest problem is that she doesn't really have a clear idea of who she is. This girl has gotten fired from more jobs than me, and that's saying something. Every time she works a new gig, she messes it up somehow. Not because she isn't hardworking or talented or smart, but because she isn't truly passionate about any of it. Fiona spends most of her life in a constant state of wanting more meaning and purpose in her daily existence, but has no idea what that would even look like or how she would get there. Last season's episode, Fiona Campbell kicked off with an intro song called Not Myself that describes Fiona's feelings of apathy towards herself, her career, and even her friends. She's afraid of change, doesn't want to face her own feelings, and still feels alone even when she's surrounded by the people she loves. That's why this season, I think we're gonna see what happens when Fiona is forced to confront those things head on. The Hare and the Sprout is filled with tons of imagery and symbolism about change, growth, and forward momentum, which hints to me that this season is gonna be all about growth for both Fiona and Huntress Wizard. All the way back in the Season 7 episode Flute Spell, we learn that Huntress is also deeply terrified of confronting her feelings, and has a tendency to single-mindedly focus on the task in front of her. This often leads her to make decisions with blinders on, which I definitely think we'll see play out this season. Huntress confesses to Finn that she can't be in a real relationship with him because she's afraid of her own softness. With both Fiona and Huntress in need of some serious emotional growth, I think that we're gonna watch both of them realize that they need to change in order to move forward. I believe that we'll eventually see Huntress learn to rely on other people for help when she needs it, and that we'll see Fiona learn to take control of her own life. Those are just some of the Easter eggs and details that I noticed in the Hare and the Sprout, but I want to know if there's anything I missed in the comments. For more Fiona and Cake Season 2 videos, make sure you're subscribed. I'm Scarlet Wit, and you're watching WhitneyVision.